What's up, guys? It's Sponkify here for League Top 10, and I'm coming to you today with something that we really haven't done before. As you know, we do our first impressions of all the new champions that come out, but when Yorick came out a couple patches ago, we specifically said we'd take another look at him when he got buffed, so that we could talk about how he is when he was buffed, because it was pretty obvious when he came out that he was underpowered, and that he was going to be needing some serious looking at. So in the Lona patch, he was buffed up quite a bit in several areas, and I'm going to touch on those just briefly and kind of just talk a little bit about how he stands now versus how he was before and what makes him stand out differently. So first of all, a couple of the issues that were pointed out in the original video done by Pharaoh, which I'll link to, is that his base mana costs were too high, his minions didn't last long enough, and overall he had a terrible itemization. So basically, Riot's aim to correct this in a few ways. Number one is two of his abilities now have reduced mana cost. Omen of Pestilence, which is his AoE, has a cast range increase of 50. It also more consistently applies its slow, and the mana cost per level has been reduced by 10. This equates to you being able to spam it quite a lot more, and actually kind of lines up with exactly how low the cooldown actually is, meaning that you can spam it more in a lane and not feel like you're going to go easily after doing it one time. Omen of Famine just had a flat decrease of 5 points per level, but again, this makes a hell of a lot of difference. Now, the reason why these may seem just like slight decreases, but I'm talking about them as if they're huge decreases in mana cost, is because of his mana per level. He gains an additional 5 mana per level now than what he did before. So used to he would gain 30 mana per level, now he gains 35 mana per level. So this gives you an effective 15 mana extra to work with per ability that you spam per level, which is amazing. It still means that you pretty much need like a mana immune if you're going more DPS than tank. But I felt like a mana immune is just like, a requirement, say on Corki. You just get it and it benefits him extremely well with mana cost and attack damage. Now, besides this, another thing that we talked about him having a problem with is that his minions don't last long enough, his ghouls. And Riot really did go the extra mile to kind of reduce this. His minions now are no longer immune to slows. They gain an additional 5%, so no longer 30%, but 35% of Yorick's attack damage and health. And they take, this is what I feel is the most significant thing, is they take 50% reduced damage from AoE abilities. I don't know how many times it was so annoying in team fights for AoE to go off and just instantly give my minions, but now they actually last decently long, because 50% reduced damage, I mean, if I have 3k, HP and they have 35% of that, that's a good chunk of HP on those, and that 50% reduction damage really means that they can survive that much longer in giving those passives, and it really shows in team fights how strong that buff can be. On a side note, his ultimate no longer decreases in HP once it's summoned. So as soon as you summon your little minion or revenant to fight with you, that will not lose any HP unless someone, of course, targets it, or it just gets hit by random AoE. Meaning that it can be that much more effective and stay up as long as you actually have it up or someone doesn't die. All of this translates into huge benefits for Yorick. Besides these things, he had a health increase of 5 per level, an armor increase of 0.6, a base movement speed increase of 5, and a slightly increased attack speed. This equates into a Yorick who can dominate. Let me say this again. Dominate a 1v1 lane. I would say his ability to sustain himself in a lane is similar to Lane Udyr and Lane Wick, with some of the damage output that you could say would come from pre-nerf Vladimir. That is to say early game. I don't feel like it translates over late game as much, but early game you definitely can see this, and I would say he's borderline OP in a solo lane early game. His jungle, I don't feel is really affected so much. I still feel like there are better junglers out there, and he is more suited in a solo lane or a dual lane with a support or someone like a tank, because he really does require a good amount of farm, and I was able to successfully succeed in farming quite well on him, but I didn't do so well when I was matched up with another DPS in a dual lane. Solo lane really is his forte, top solo lane that is, where someone's jungling and you take the top lane. Now, besides all this, there still remains the issue of itemization. His W and his E still, although they scale off of attack damage very well, they still do magical damage, meaning that later into the game, because there are no attack damage items that also give magic penetration, those abilities will taper off naturally. I'm pretty much sure this is intended, given that, you know, as tanky DPS need to be tanky but also have some DPS, they're not going to be the true sources of main damage, or should not be in a balanced team late into a team fight. We're starting like 40 minutes into a game or something. But to mitigate this early on, having the magical penetration out of the offensive tree really allows you to take advantage of the damage that W and E does, and you can completely dominate your lane like that. Now, all of his other abilities combined with the fact that they now take reduced damage, and they give Yorick reduced damage now, which I didn't even know if you guys knew this now. Yorick takes 5% reduced damage for each summon active, meaning that if he has all 4 up, he has like a walking Maokai ultimate on himself. You know, imagine having his, you know, all 4 Revenants up, all 4 ghouls, and for basically 5 seconds, ideally 5 seconds, you're going to have fluctuating 15 to 20% damage reduction. This has saved my ass so many times in team fights, and so many times in solo lane fights against people I should have lost simply because I was being attacked by minions and them at the same time, and I was just being so ballsy. But it really comes into play, and I could definitely see that possibly getting nerfed some, or simply his damage early game being nerfed a little bit. Because right now, his sustainability in lane, combined with that passive, combined with the fact that, you know, he gets, HP back and his ghouls last longer and all this stuff, makes him so hard to get out of lane. He can just farm forever, it seems like, with some utility masteries and a Meki pendant. He is in that lane for life. The only thing he is really susceptible to is really high burst damage, but anybody that does sustain damage, he's pretty much good to go. I really found that he plays really nicely now. I almost feel like Riot intentionally over buffed him so that people would buy him after, you know, finding out he was trash to begin with, and now they're like, oh, he's really good, so they're going to buy him, and then they're going to translate and turn around and nerf him, which that's just my gut feeling, you know, conspiracy theories, whatever. But I do find myself really enjoying Yorick right now. He's a lot of fun to play. He was always fun to play, but now he actually feels like he does the damage that he needs to be doing and just needs a slight tweak. I can't believe I'm saying this, slight tweak early game to bring his sustained damage and his sustainability from healing in a lane more in line. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this relook at Yorick. If you have any comments or questions, or, you know, just what's your overall thoughts of Yorick now, please post them in the comments below. As always, like, favorite, and subscribe if you haven't already. And this is Spunkify out. I'll see you later. Victory!